Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from The Crucible. Andrew and Rollo discuss why men should suppress their emotions. Please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time.
That is not what you should
So let me
do.
see if I can add a little bit to this too, because every time the topic of emotions comes up, everybody seems to think that men and women are exactly the same when it comes to processing emotion. We are not. You do not have the same hardware. You literally have different wiring in your brain than men have in their brains. So when you're saying when it comes to emotional regulation, okay, well, when men become emotional, they tend to default to anger. When women become emotional, they tend to devolve to crying or hysterics or whatever. Usually it's a panic response because you feel unsafe, because you feel insecure. Something's going to get me. I'm going to cry. This is the only thing I can do. Men, since we're action oriented, we get pissed off because it's a fight or flight response to that. Yeah. So men and women literally do not have the same hardware in their brains. But from your response, which is really, I hate to say typical, but it's the typical response from women and the women that were on your show as well. The presumption is that men emote exactly the same way as women do because they believe in this blank slate bullshit, okay? Which is, we're all the same thing, we all have the same hardware, we're all the same. No, we down to the microscopic, down to the cellular level, men and women are different. To the point where our brains, they have done this before, take fMRI scans of men's brains and women's brains, and you look at the synapses and how they're connected, and you lay them on top of each other, they're the perfect fucking complement.
Shout out to Rollo. That was a damn good explanation. Yeah, I may not cover him that often because there's certain things that he's kind of differ from me now, but doesn't mean we can't listen to everyone in the space and pull the information that we need to apply to ourselves.
There's also a logical way to look at this, which is duty. Men actually have a duty to suppress their emotions. The reason we have a duty to suppress our emotions, and in society we have a duty to suppress our emotions, is because when that guy's pissed off, he can rip the doors off the fucking hinges, throw them across the room, and if it hits you, it would kill you, literally.
Yeah,
it's not a joke.
Because the default is to anger, and the default is to fight.
When men get super angry, they become the Incredible Hulk. To me, it's so funny because the amount of damage that even the average man can do, women generally in modernity are spared from seeing that, right? You, though, you were in the military, men can be extremely savage.
Well,
That's the crazy thing, right? And women, normal civilian women, never seen the savagery of men. Never seen a man square up to another man and beat the crap out of him because something, they had an argument or whatever it is. We, as men, hide this away, and when women are present, we become civilized in a sense. This is why back in the day, that's what women symbolized, that you were civilized enough to be in society for a woman to be with you, because men were just a little bit more uncivilized when it comes to interactions, because when men weren't controlling their emotions, there was a lot more fights, there was a lot more wars, there was a lot more death.
And so I think, hang on, I'm almost done. But I think that we're raised in an environment, and always have been. Traditionally, we've always been raised where you have a greater duty to suppress and control your emotions, not only so that you don't damage the environment that's around you and damage women and damage everything else, but even so that you don't damage men. It's better to cooperate with men. That's a higher duty than to damage the things that are around you with anger and emotion.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been dying to ask both of you to get your perspectives is, because I was in the military, I saw a lot of men go inward, almost to a detriment where they unalived themselves. I literally was thinking of one particular person that was in the bunk just a couple bunks over from me that unalived himself. And this is the highest rate of unaliving is with men. Sure. And so, talk to me about that. Give me a little bit of information. You're talking about men process emotions differently, et cetera. There's obviously a reason they're having this issue.
They have a great burden of duty on their shoulders, and especially if they're in the military, that duty increases drastically as responsibility gets put on their shoulders. It's no surprise to me that if you put heaps and heaps of duty on a person without any form of praise or any type of kind of societal push to help that person as well, that's why you see those rates. Anytime.
And this is where society is. Andrew, damn, I love how Andrew puts a lot of these things in perspective. If we as males aren't getting praised to be good men, aren't getting praised to do well in life and to take care of our family and to not be degenerates and to not be these things, what incentive do these males have to do it? And if they don't have the incentives and they are still doing it, at least don't trash men. Men are doing all of these things, carrying all of this burden, taking on the mantle of society, and then we just get it shitted on constantly everywhere us men turn. Women hate us. Women think that we're there to oppress them. Of course, we're going to feel a way about it. I've been doing all of this tremendous amount of work to try to make everything better for everyone, but everyone thinks that I'm just some kind of predator. And I'm evil, that I need to be put down because I'm a male. Yeah, that can be devastating for most men because they can't comprehend why are they even here.
Time I look, even if you break it down ethnically, you break it down racially, it always seems to be people who are in the fields where they have kind of the greater duties, which are for family, for king, for country, whatever it is, that you see, usually in their 30s or 40s. It's just too much. They're not getting any form of support, including from other men, and that's usually why they end up self-terminating.
I believe the rates of attempted taking your own life are about the same for men and women.
Oh, really?
But men tend to use firearms and jump off of things and then hang themselves, whereas women tend to use pills.
Not in the military.
Yeah. What do you mean?
In the military, that stat doesn't hold true. So men and women in the military.
men you commit. Yeah,
well, far and away more.
Well, I think why that might be the case in the military is because if I'm a woman in the military, my options with men are plentiful, and if I'm a man in the military and I'm at Fort Bragg, or if I'm at Fort Hood, or if I'm Clovis, New Mexico, my options with women are minimal. I may also be deployed and my wife may be doing whatever. Whereas if I'm a woman, I'm getting massive amounts of attention. I think that may have something to do with it.
Yeah, well, I also think that they have to do far more egregious jobs.
Oh, for sure. Okay, I agree
and
with that.
I think that's another, heavy contributing factor. But again, always when I look at these charts, I see it's the more duty with the least amount of, I don't know what you would call it, like societal kickback or thanks or something like this, support for hey, thanks for doing your duty. Thanks for doing your job. Seems to be always men who are in that position who are at the higher rates of self-termination. Yeah. But they definitely have a duty to suppress their emotion for the safety of everybody in their environment. Women who say this, they go, I wish you were more in touch with your emotions. No, the fuck you don't. Last thing you want me to do is touch my emotions. Last thing you want to do is see what goes on in my head. Last thing you want to do is see what I actually think about things. It's the worst thing possible.
That was actually the point I was getting at.
Yeah, best thing is for me to suppress all of it, and for you too.
Yeah. For the last, ever since the sexual revolution, we have, because we believe in this blank slate bullshit, it's men need to express themselves more. They're bottling it up. They're doing this. And they need to be more emotionally expressive. They need to get in touch with their feminine side, because the feminine side, the idea is that there's some sort of animus balance between the two, and functionally it's incorrect. This is a dead meme that we still
There is no
cling
equilibrium.
To today.
There is no equilibrium. There is no equality.
But here my point was always this: is like, I always use this as an example. It's like, if just because you didn't cry at the end of Titanic doesn't mean you're like emotionally stunted as a male human being, because all the women are just crying over the what transpired. But the long and the short of this is that,
did you cry at the end of Titanic?
Of course, no. Saving Private Ryan, I did. No. But the at the end of the day, it's the idea is that men are functionally equivalent to women, and so therefore, if it made her cry and it's not making you cry, there must be something very wrong with you.
You don't feel.
Yep, Rollo is right. That's exactly how women view it. Because if it affected me this way, and it didn't affect you the same way, you must be some kind of psychopath. You must be some kind of weirdo. You must be emotionally stunted. You don't have emotional intelligence.
The same way.
Yes. And we just simply don't have the hardware to do that. We do feel emotion. We just don't see. We don't lead with it. We don't. It's the process is this. It's emotion, instinct, emotion, and reason. Instinct is the easiest one. It's fight or flight. It's what's the most. If I threw something at you right now, you instinctively flinch away from it. That's the fastest way of responding to our environment. Emotion is the next one. And remember, emotion's not magic. It's not like pixie dust that falls down. I can change your emotion by shooting you up with a bunch of testosterone, or we can all go and drink that bottle of gin right there, and we can all suddenly feel better about ourselves because we have a different emotion. We're put into a different emotional state. And then there's reason, and reason is the slowest because we have to learn how to respond to things, how to act to things, what's the best practice in this particular situation from a previous experience that maybe we learned the hard way and maybe we didn't. So those are the instinct, emotion, and reason. Women tend to do instinct, emotion, and reason. Men tend to do instinct, reason, and then emotion. How did it make us feel after we figure out and solve that problem? How did it make us feel after Titanic is over? We're not crying there, but why did she cry? You might wonder about that. But men tend to process emotion after the reasons part, whereas women tend to go from instinct, emotion, and then to reason.
Shout outs to Rollo and Andrew and to the whole crew. That was a wonderful chow. He's right. Like the danger of us sharing our complete thoughts or saying exactly how we think about everything is kind of dangerous. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.